Hello, Team Absolution fans, and welcome back to Cardfight Cash, Season 2, Episode 3. It's Standard Week again, and I am here with our sponsor himself, Ken from the Magic Satchel. How you doing today, Ken?
Good. How about yourself?
Fantastic. And well, it has been a standard week for the market, hasn't it? Things are going down, things are going up. Why don't we talk about the intricacies of both in this week's edition of Cardfight Cash? And if you're a Q4 investor from a couple weeks ago, you are now a sad panda, as your investments have dipped down about, what do you call this? Like 20% at least? I mean, it's kind of bad for anyone who really just started dipping into draw PGs, but if you haven't yet, now is your chance. Tell them what's going on, Ken.
Yeah, so what we're seeing Q4 this week is King of Knights Alfred down from 25. He went down to 22 for a little bit. Now he's down to the good old 1397. That's due to the trial deck release saying that you'll at least get one King of Knights Alfred in this trial deck. So that kind of feels bad, but good if you sold them early. Miss Mist is down from 750 to 679 and continues to drop. So I think that's primarily due to just OTT kind of moving to the meta at this point, um, and not being as good as maybe people anticipated it. Royal Paladin, same thing. The draw PG for Royal Paladin was up at around 7, now it's 479. So same kind of similar trend. Deck is still solid, but the draw PG is cheap. Buy it while it is. And then Kagro Nova Grappler, Kagro draw PG sitting at 344. Nova Grappler at under $2. Pick them up now because support is a coming, and I assure you those prices will rise.
Beast of Deity's looking spicy, and the Great may have been spoiled by the time this episode goes out, so hang on to your butts. Q4 might go up again, so invest now as soon as you hear this message. Go buy those Twin Bladers. Now let's move on to our next main set, AL4 VBT02. And I think we're seeing some kind of similar stuff happening here. PBD down from his very high horse that was a couple of weeks ago. High rarity stuff kind of moving in either direction depending on how popular the deck is. Matcha going up, but some of the other stuff going down. Any insights on VBT02 overall here, Ken?
Yeah, I mean, we just saw, VBT 04 drop, which obviously had a lot of AL4 clans in it. So, of course, you'll see PBD go down as people are buying them and trying to get rid of their cards. I actually sold a bunch of PBD at 44. Glad I did at the time. Thank you to who bought them. Now they're at 34. So, it's not bad. Still a nice sell. If you have it, only down $10. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of uptick on these cards and kind of fluctuations depending on, their decks and the support that they just got.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're not seeing a whole lot more fluctuation. It seems that Murakuma holding steady with as much hype as behind it. Actually, they've seen some price drops, and Zambaku SVRs lost $9 of value. Himself has only crept up about $2, and he's the real linchpin of the deck, even with the new support. So I'm kind of surprised that this is so steady.
Yeah, I mean, and something we're also seeing is, Golden Beast Tamer up from 14 to now 16.28, and No Life King up from 11 to about $14-15 now. So that is actually interesting as these decks just got new support.
And yet, no one will buy my Dark Irregulars deck. Please help a brother out. Help me. All right. Well, we actually have two more main sets to talk about, and we'll hit the middle of the show with the newest one. But let's walk back to Miyagi real quick. It hasn't been that long here, but really the prices have pretty much settled. I think not too much going on. Now, what surprises me is Detnik's Drill Dragon is leading the charge at a little more than 20, a little less. He fluctuates around $20, but just about all the other VRs are looking real sad, except for Sanctuary Alfred, of course. He's got that Alfred charm.
Yeah, I mean, Murakami is a really good deck right now. It does what Excel needs to do. Has some draw, has some retire, has restanding Vanguard for really no cost. I mean, obviously it has a cost, but it's not that hard to still restand them. And so we see cards like Drill 20, Death Scythe at almost $10, and then Stinger, which is the grade 3 at $5. So those cards just keep rising as the deck stays relevant.
So I'm looking at these prices, and if I was a betting man, would this be the time to pick up Nubatama with the VR at $6?
So Nubatama is kind of that interesting kind of conundrum in a way because the deck is so cheap right now. You can almost have it as a fun deck. The deck's not all that horrible, but it's really not that great. It kind of rides the horrible line, and so the cards are so cheap, you might as well pick it up because one, the deck's good in premium if you're interested in premium, and two, its support's coming out again pretty pretty fast. I mean, Miyagi 2 is coming out in only a couple months.
And now that is very true. Support is confirmed. So with these $6 Magatsu Storms, you might have yourself a little fun deck here for what, $50? Seems good.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably find it cheaper as, obviously, you go to your Facebook, your eBays, what have you. Probably pick up the deck for 40, maybe even less at somebody's local that just wants to get rid of it.
Now that's a spicy pickup. Now that's going to be my recommendation for the week is get you a $40 full built Vanguard deck and sit.
Yeah, and it's really good for beginners too. I mean, the deck, you just have some fun and play some card games with some friends. $40, pretty cheap.
$40. Now let's talk about Vilest Deleter. We were kind of watching this, last 2 weeks. It just came out, so these prices are hot and fresh, and they're here, and yet I'm not impressed. I gotta say, except for the VDR pack, and that's what's sucking up all the value here. The only really expensive cards are Gust Blaster, the Link Joker VR, and then some SPs that came with this set. Talk to me what's going on. Is it really just a value vacuum with the VDR pack?
Yeah, so Vilist has this kind of issue where you really need to pull the right cards. The SPs, the VDR pack, the delete rares. Pulling the right cards. That's where your value is. You're not seeing the value, in your VRs. I mean, shoot, your Link Joker Perfect card is more expensive than 3 of the VRs in this set.
And I just find that sad. And this seems like the days of old when you'd have the $20 PGs and the $15 Triple R, and that was your deck. Like we're talking about old like BT06 Gold Paladins here back when Halo Shield Mark was the hardest card to get in the game. And now we're back, thankfully at a third of the price, but still, the point holds. It's a good time if you want to buy some decks, but a bad time if you bought this set. I gotta say, I'm feeling pretty sorry for you guys out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice if you bought a case. You made some pretty decent pluses, as most of the delete rares are pretty decent. One of the SPs, can run you $30. So it's not horrible, but if you bought boxes and you pull one of these VRs out of your box, or shoot, you pull 2 of them, and they only net you like $10 because you pulled like a Zengeki and an end of stage, which is, by the way, $3.96. First VR to go below $5. You're feeling pretty bad.
Super, super sad. And now, it's time for the Extra Booster March. And all the prices we're watching in the Extra Boosters are pretty much the PGs, as that's really the limiting factor when it comes to, what comes next in terms of support. Your VRs, they're going to hold steady. They'll jump when the support gets announced, they'll jump when their archetype is supported, but the PGs are eternal. And so it's time for the PG March. Tachikaze, how you doing? It stayed the same. Dimension Police, it stayed the same. All of these staying the same except for Aquaforce. What's going on with Aquaforce here, Ken?
So we saw obviously Force, be the poster child. You saw the William Maelstrom art come out, and people were kind of jumping on this bandwagon. We're seeing the SP Algoses get bought out. We're seeing the draw PGs and the Leon markers, and so people were slowly thinking that Force might be. Coming from the depths of being one of the worst decks in Standard Vanguard to come up. I mean, we're seeing how Excel is really shaping up to be so powerful. You look at decks like Murakami does it well, Kumo that does it well, even decks like Great Nature. As much as people say Great Nature is a slot machine, still doing Excel well. So maybe there's some hope that Aquaforce will come up and I can actually play the deck I love.
Yeah, here's hoping. I do love me some Aquaforce, but I saw that stuff and I'm like, no, that ain't me, dog. So, make sure you spec on a couple of those while the price is still low and see what you can do. But, I mean, the rest of your PG investments are looking really solid right now. Most everything is hovering around $2 if it's not named Link Joker, Miss Mist, or Bari. So, with that in mind, happy investing. Because the only thing that I see that's gone up in PG land is the Neonectar one. A whole 68 cents. Oh no. You better hurry, people. It's about that time. And now for EBO4. And I'm as much as like the EBO4 decks were super cool. Like Great Nature, awesome deck. Genesis, still making waves. Gear Chronicle, sitting in the back waiting its turn. We've seen some tops, a little bit of here and there. We're still waiting for the big push on Gear Chronicle again, even though none of us want that. But the set's dropping in value. It's just rusting away a little bit. $2 on Leopold gone down. Himiko dropped $2. Lost Legend gained $1.50. Hey, good for him. But most everything else is just starting to slide its way down. And, this might be a good time to look into some decks that, granted, don't have support right now, but are probably going to see some announcements here in the next wave, whenever that announcement is.
Yeah, I mean, EV04 is kind of looking as the VRs are dropping, and that's fine. And a lot of money is in the triple rare. So you look at Hamsuke, Sahomihei, or I don't know how to say Genesis stuff. I apologize for all those Genesis players out there, but the triple rare for Genesis, Lost Legend, they're growing. As of this recording, your Binoculus Tigers were like up to 7. So, you got triple rares that are doing well. So the VRs can kind of take a hit, but, pick them up while they're cheap. Because honestly, I feel like these VRs are going to go skyrocketing back up, when support is announced. But one standout thing is that Genesis Draw PG, $5. Coming up from a nice 2. That's a nice little spike.
Hello, waifu tax. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and Gear Chronicle's seeing a similar thing. Like, Gear Chronicle keeps topping randomly, so we're seeing it in Japan tournaments where Gear Chronicle just comes out of nowhere and just beats and wins a tournament, and we're just like, how did that even happen? And it turns out, Gear Chronicle has a really good matchup against Shadow Paladin. Who knew?
Who knew? So, we've talked a little bit about good investments to make here and there, and, our recommendation jokingly was, buy Nubatama, it's so cheap. What else, whole deck-wise, would you consider investing in right now in hopes of, making that money back in just a few months' time?
Yeah, I mean, whole deck-wise, if you can pick up, Nova Grappler, if you can pick up a cheap Aquaforce deck, I mean, obviously Maelstroms are a little expensive now, but Nova Grappler is a prime example where you can pick up Perfect Risers for 8 to 6 a piece and build a deck just because certain cards are still going to stick around. And if those cards go up in value, it's better to get them now while they're cheap. Nubatama is another perfect example. So any deck that seems really oddly cheap, and then perfect example of cards that are cheap. End of stage, I swear that card's going to go up. So pick them up now. They're under $4. Pick up your Dantarians and VRs that are cheap because they will go up over time. That's my recommendation.
Well, thank you so much, Ken. This has actually been a pretty short episode, but thank you so much for watching Cardfight Cash. That's it from us at Team Absolution and the Magic Satchel. For all your card deals, look up Ken. He'll do you right. He's done me right time and time again. He's the only place I shop anymore. So, with that being said, thank you so much for watching Cardfight Cash. We'll be back next week with Premium, and we wish you good night. Have a good one. Peace.